like to thank for the grace of heaven, virtues of our master, transmitters, lecturers, and everyone for giving me this opportunity to try to present our holy teacher's word down in daily life. Actually, this is a continuation of the last presentation, so it's part two. We talked about, just to recap, we talked about Tao, that we learned the principles in the temple. So the temple is only the auxiliary, the guidance that where we learn the truth and to do the rights. And but temple is not like the whole stage where we perform what we learn. So we talk about we learn it from the temple. We have to perform everywhere we go. So we have to apply the principles in our home, in the company where we work, and wherever we go, not just in the temple. So we continue on from slide 9. We talk about that as we cultivate Tao, cultivating is to change. And what are we changing? We're changing our habits, temperaments that originally we didn't have. When God created us, God made us perfect with Buddha nature. That is same for everyone. Why everyone has different habits, different dogs maybe, because we've been reincarnated for many lifetimes. We kind of learn these habits and temperaments while we are on earth. So in cultivating, we are trying to get to know our true self, to review our Buddha nature, and to what we try to do is to let go all the bad habits, temperaments that originally we didn't have. So we learn to be sincere, modest, humble. Our holy teacher is teaching us to be sincere. When we go out, we give a glass of water to people. We need to do it with sincerity. So when we, our holy teacher wants us to remember and told us that when we are being sincere to people, when we do it once, if we try to remember it, because the point holy teacher here, he wanted us to learn it, have the principle, have the message, keep it in our mind. So the next time we don't forget his exhortation wanted us to, his guidance wanted us to be, to become saints and Buddhas. And it is like being sincere, it is also our innate quality, our innate gift that we can show people that we are true. We ought to manifest our innate quality and gift, illuminating from inside, and it'll be ours. So if we do it from within, then our action becomes in sync with what we're doing. And we can bring out our Buddha nature once we do that. So cultivating, we are reviewing our Buddha nature. Holy Teacher said, regardless is just one Buddha nature that we are representing, but we can guide and help many sentient beings. One person, how many people can we guide? 1 to 10, 200, 100 to thousands, 1,000 to over 10,000. So what happens next? So when we review our Buddha nature, our wisdom can expand to many sentient beings around us. People can feel that Tao is within us. So when we're learning, we can absorb teachings. It is not that's not all. More important is to apply them in our daily lives. So when we learn these principles, we need to apply it. As saints and Buddhas constantly reiterate that we need, after we learn it, we need to apply it. Otherwise, the learning is just the learning, the knowledge doesn't represent us. It's not ours. So in order to have the principle manifest with our action, we need to act it out, apply it in our daily lives. And our Holy Teacher said, only once those that apply these principles in our daily lives, then we become the wise ones. So today we're cultivating Tao. We cultivate to change. We try not to have pride, and we try not to think like we are all that, like we're the best. Because God created all of us equal, and we are all equally important. And only when we are being modest and humble, then we can learn to let go of our bad habits and all those attachments that we didn't have. So Holy Teacher, we have a homework that Holy Teacher asks us to listen to the Buddha Nature class at least an hour a day and do an hour letting go of the thoughts and not have a single um, not have any thoughts. So yeah, our Holy Teacher reminded us that we need to let go of all those bad habits. And then Holy Teacher pointed out that we are all human beings, but do we understand humans? Holy Teacher asked 3 questions. And then he said, you will not know the answers for them. The 3 questions we don't know answers for. The first, we don't know heaven. Second, we don't know earth. Third, we don't know people. So, and in our daily lives, we need to interact with others. And people are closest to people. Whatever we do, we are accountable for our own actions. So we're being responsible for heaven. Heaven is also very close to us, not to say this earth where we live on. All of this are very close to us. And if we don't understand much of them, like, can we be a human being? Like, should we talk about knowledge? So Holy Teacher wanted us to think for a sec and try to understand a bit that after we learn to be a human being, then people can try to be a diva, then become a saint. It's not difficult from that, like step by step. So we go up the ladder, become saints and Buddhas. And so whatever we do, it starts from our heart. And then he has a saying. Well, he pointed out a saying says, 曲高和寡. As we are human beings, we should not be too arrogant. When we do, we isolate ourselves in the situation. In this white era of cultivation, we do not cultivate in solitude. We need to cultivate within our society, in our home, with our families. We need to harmonize our surroundings. If we are too arrogant, we're not only unable to cultivate Tao, we'll be unable to be a human being. Do we understand? And Tao is cosmic. It's everywhere. We cannot use words to describe it. Saints and Buddhas of the ancient time put together sutras, trying to explain the indescribable truth of the universe. So people can be led to discover the truth. And Holy Teacher said, the scholars ought to do things accordingly to the truth. And they do not just know the knowledge and we after we know the knowledge, we should not deviate from it, and that is Tao. And Tao is very natural, and the action comes from our heart. So whatever we do, try to not have motive behind our action. We use our pure, innocent, we use our pure, innocent mind in treating people around us. That is important. How do we interact with people? So we need to be modest, humble. After we learn to be modest and humble with people, we need to do it same for ourselves. So, Holy Teacher pointed out, regardless whether we succeed or fail, our heart and mind is unmoved. When we succeeded, we feel very happy. Then, if for instance, like when we succeed in certain situation, if we get carried over, we feel very happy about it. Then we won't be cautious. We might do some wrongs. then we would become a failure. And Holy Teacher said we ought to be cautious even when we are at ease, when there's nothing happening, and just Saint Buddha always tried to tell us that to have a medium mean at all time, like to do things in the in moderation. Don't be to the extremes.
Go to the extreme.
I just wanted to ask, when Holy Teacher said be cautious, does that mean that you still need to have that awareness?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, when he said being cautious, being aware, yeah, like, yeah, not.
So you can't really be relaxed. You still need to be cautious. You still need to be aware of what you're doing, what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess like we're trying to become Saint and Buddha, and because we receive Tao, and we are qualified to become Saints and Buddha. So to become Saints and Buddha, there's a lot of work we need to put in, and because there are stages, so there are a lot of there could be a lot of challenges. So we need to be to have awareness, to like I don't know. To me, for saints to become saints and Buddha is like every move they make, like when they sit, when they stand, when they walk, like they there's a certain way. Like it's like you can't be slouchy. You can't like sit any way you want. You know, they're proper, like everywhere they are. So I guess that cautious is what that means.
Yeah, see, it depends on the perspective. I think for most of us who are cultivators, we say we are cultivators. If we're cultivators, let's assume we are. Okay, it just means that means we're cultivating because we're not there yet, right? Or we haven't reached that level. We're not enlightened, completely enlightened, right? Okay, so if we're in that group or under that group, okay, under that thing, then the reason why we have caution, we have precepts, right? We have rules and regulations and all that stuff. It's because we're not yet aware, because we're not there yet. We're still not that level yet, right? It's like it's like a child, right? A child, children's class. We have to, parents and teachers have to teach them certain behaviors, right? Because they're not yet aware. They're not adults. They're not called adults yet, right? Right? They haven't learned things yet. So we have to take, so likewise, because we're not at that level yet, we're not like Yan Hui, okay? We're not like Yan Hui, right? Or Buddha, okay, it doesn't matter. But, so we're not yet aware yet. So we have to, what? Be mindful, be cautious, and we follow rules and regulations, 四唯一, right? The 4 awe-inspiring manners of behavior, whatever. Okay, okay, so we have to do that. And then gradually, so that's a gradual process. Okay, so gradually, as we become more conscious, it becomes what? Almost natural. It then becomes natural. Then that means our awareness is increased, or naturally is enhanced. That's how we nurture that awareness, by being cautious. You don't just do things first and then, think about it later. Shoot first, ask questions later. We don't do that, right? So you have to be cautious. So gradually, over time, over practice, then you have that awareness. You build up that awareness. Get it? So then later on, you don't need, I don't say, you don't need caution because you are aware. You understand. Ooh, this is the way it should be done. This is what's correct or what's not correct, what's proper, what's improper, etc., etc. Make sense? So at that higher level. So Buddha, we say, yeah, Buddhas are cautious. Actually, it's because they're so aware, they are so, you can say, at one with this Buddha nature, with their essence and wisdom, that naturally, they appear naturally. They just do it, and it just appears natural. That, hey, they're not cautious. They didn't say they're cautious. No, they're just at one. You get it? Because they are at that wisdom, that wisdom totally pervades everything they do. So whatever they say, whatever really they think, say, do, right? Right? 身口意, right? Does not, what? 造业, will not create karma. Whereas we humans, we're not aware. So whatever we say, we think, we do, could create karma. So that's why we have to be cautious. Okay? So that's how you can look at that.
Yeah, so that relates back to what the third introspection of Zunzi, right? Have I practiced what I've learned, right? So, because the Tao, right, we always talk about the Tao as being 2 parts, the essence and the function, or the principle and the action, or application, okay? So, from our point of view, it's like 2 separate things, right? But you have to merge them into one, then you're Buddha, okay? Then you're fully enlightened. So, that's what we have to do. So, when a Buddha or enlightened person, it's one, okay?
Right.
So there's no, we don't have to think about, do I do the right thing? It's just automatic.
Right.
That's when it's one, right? So we have to work on that. Well, because of our habits, our temper,
Right.
all these things that separate these two cause them to be separate. And so we're not one yet. So we get rid of the temper, get rid of the bad habits, all that. Then naturally, it gradually merges as one. Then our actions, everything, speech, becomes basically it flows directly from the Buddha nature, and so then it's one. Then we're like a Buddha, right?
That's what Tong means. Also, 一观道. That's what also means that. 一观道 also means that, right?
Allow me to address Joe's question, because you talk about being cautious and then maybe one will become nervous at all times or apprehensive. Actually, we know where we are weak. We know where we're not doing very well. So we do purposeful learning, and those learning will guide us. So gradually, the improvement will be a gradual process. Although we know we are making mistakes in this area, we learn, but we still might make mistakes. But if we are alert, we are aware, then the process might be a little shorter. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that we have to be nervous. If we really learn things and we apply them to actions, the result will come along.
Here's the important thing. When we're especially, I emphasize strongly, especially when we talk about cultivating learning principles, practicing principles, speaking of the principles, etc. It doesn't come right away. Depending on level. The key is you have to try to approach it from that heart and mind that has no beginning and no end. 不生不灭的心. We have to try to approach it from there. It's not easy because people don't even know what's that heart and mind that has no beginning, no end. I'm clueless. Duh. So that's the problem. So we learn. So that's why we learn, right? If you don't know, you learn, right? Then very simple, right? I mean, unless you want to be ignorant, umi all the time, but that's fine. But the point is, you have to try to approach it from that level or from that point, okay? Because if you use your mind, intellectual mind, that's nothing more than a scholar. You can get PhD. There's so many PhDs. Are they Buddhas? No. Okay. So that's not the correct approach, because that's just knowledge, and you can forget it. Knowledge could be gained. If something could be gained, it can be lost. That's an important principle to remember. That's why we have to emphasize the heart and mind, or the mind that has no beginning, no end. 不生不灭的. Okay, see, that is always forever. That's our 不变之体. That's the changeless, eternal essence. Get it? So we have to start from there. I mean, we try. We have to approach it from there. Once we approach it, then everything flows. Make sense? Everything is at one. 合一. 天地合一. There's no karma. Right? That everything is, we say 合一, but it flows. When we say it flows, it means, that's why I say the 即造, right? 即造同时, right? 造 is 随缘之用. That's one definition. That's the proper definition. 随缘 doesn't mean that it's arbitrary. Because I do whatever I want. Hey, I'm all powerful. I'm a Buddha. I can do whatever I want. Wrong. That's a misunderstanding of 造. Of 用. That's the you can say misuse. You can say misuse of a function. That's wrong. Because if you are at one, you are, like for example, the cosmos. We look at nature. It follows certain principles. That's why we have science. Science tries to explain the theory, grand unified theory, whatever, relativity, all that stuff. Because there's a principle that governs this. It's not arbitrary. It's not random. Even though it may seem random. That's because we don't know enough. That's why it appears random. Okay? So now we have big data, and we find interesting patterns within big data. Okay, but anyway, that's getting to the science. But what I'm trying to say, 随缘之用, that's the 造. 造 means to shine, to illuminate. Right? Literally, that's what it means. But in Buddhist terms, in Buddha nature term, it means that it follows, it's the application, but it follows a principle, in principle. So when we say Buddha, Buddha applied, they do, right, apply their function, their wisdom, but they follow the principles. So that's how come it will not create karma. Makes sense? Because if it's only if you do something that's arbitrary, that's contrary to principle, then you create 造业, you create bad karma. Make sense?
So it's flexibility within the confine of
Yeah,
the
but it's infinite.
principles.
Yeah, it's infinite because actually the 随缘之用 is really infinite because the principle is so numerous. So we say there's one principle, that's true. But when that one 一生二，二生三，三生万物, it's infinite. So that's the highest wisdom. But we can only think of just one principle, Newtonian mechanics. Yeah, it only applies within a certain narrow frame. It doesn't apply to, but that's only one principle. That's because we confine ourselves to this one little principle. Okay? Actually, it's one, that the principles are infinite. But they all come from that one source, or one truth, one whatever you want to call it. Okay?
So in the temple we learn these principles and we have these rules and regulations, the guidance to keep us in track to become saints and Buddha. And being caution is one of it, like part of it. Being aware. So, Holy Teacher, well, thank you, Lecturer Kai. Holy Teacher pointed out that we shouldn't be carried away when we succeeded in certain situations or when we fail. So we should keep in the moderate, be with the medium mean that Buddha nature is unperturbed, like lecturer Tai always talk about. So we try not to be swayed away. And then Holy Teacher pointed out that when we write affection, 情, it consists of the left and right sides. So the right side, 情, meaning that things are not mature or ripe, like the fruit when it's green and is not ready to be eaten. Like, I guess he's trying to point out, like, there are different stages for things, and there are different responsibilities, and there are different when we look at our parents, the father kind of represents the heaven, the mother represents the earth, and the father is being like strong and stern. The mother is needs to be compassionate. So it's like as if the like it's compared to being yin and yang, but the yin and yang needs to come together as one, and the heaven and earth comes together to be one, and this everything starts with this oneness. And then the earth, the heaven, earth, father, mother, all connect with one another. and Tao is what it is. Tao is not necessarily in the temple where we are making the utmost effort in what we call Tao. It is only in the temple is just part of it. We're only here for, some people come here once a week, so it's just one day of a week. What happens to the other 6 days? So we need to perform Tao for those other 6 days when we're home, elsewhere in the company, working, everywhere we go, when we hang out with friends. So we need to have Tao wherever we go in our lives. When people are able to breathe, then we are living, right? If people are not breathing, then that person obviously is not living. Holy Teacher pointed out Tao is our thoughts, our true nature. And he pointed out that when we are alone, maybe at nighttime when it's quiet, do we think about things that we have done during the daytime? So we introspect. People tend to introspect when they're alone in the nighttime. Holy Teacher pointed out during the daytime, the yang is I guess in charge. That it tends to move things around. Activity tends to be going, and people are in motion. It's harder to calm down. That's why when we cultivate during the daytime, try to. We need to calm ourselves down a little bit during the daytime when there's a lot of activity, a lot of motion going on. So to keep us in the medium mean, to have equilibrium, to stabilize one another. And then Holy Teacher reminded us to be sincere again, and to not have bad thoughts. Even having bad thoughts is one thing, and not have it voice out, and like for those thoughts that we keep in our mind, it might still hurt our heart and mind. So not to have those thoughts either. Because when we have bad thoughts, it will only diminish our virtue. So in order to gain, accumulate our virtue, we need to not think of anything and be subtle. Okay, so as I to, in a nutshell, is Tao in daily lives is to learn and perform, become one, to act, do it without action. Then Tao is ours and it is within us. We don't want it to differentiate and say learn these knowledge and not just have it as knowledge. We want to learn it and we want it to be within us, that we are acting out with our actions. So it becomes one within us. So I think we don't have that much time today, so if I say anything improper, wrong, I ask Saints and Buddhas, heaven, for forgiveness, and the lecturers and everyone can correct me. So because of the time limitation, we'll just stop for now. Thank you very much.